Hi everyone, I'm Kay and welcome to BedeSisters. I am so glad you're here. I have been fiddling with lights again as usual. I'm not sure what I'm thinking. There's a big light right there. There's a little ring light way over there that's not doing me any good at all. There's some light from the window behind me. I don't know. What do you think? Can you see okay? Nobody's here because I'm pretty, so it doesn't really matter that much what I look like, but can you see what we're talking about? That is the important part. Before we get started on finished stuff, because I have some finished stuff, I want to invite you over to my new website. I've actually got it set up as BedeSisters.com, and you can head over there. I have yarn and a few project bags listed now. That's the other thing I want to tell you about. I have plans for SAFF, and I'm going to give you a little peek at what I have available there. Some of the stuff is done. There's more to come. So for finished, I put them back here just out of reach, which is super convenient for showing you. My theme for my booth at SAFF is going to be harvest. We've been doing some putting food by this year. We've got some home canned, home dehydrated stuff, as well as just stocking up generally. So I wanted to carry that into the theme for my booth this year. So, have you grown a garden this year? Look at this fabric. It's like victory garden stuff. Look at that. Dig for victory. Anyway, I think this is cute. This is one of the little ones. You can put a single skein, like a sock project in this. It's a little tight, but I did it just to make sure. And you can see inside it has a boxed base. So it will open nicely and sit up on its own. So there's this one with the seeds. There's this one with some home canned weirdness. I think this fabric I think it's just kind of funny. So it's like onions and leaves and yarn. I don't know quite what this is, but this fabric cracked me up. So we've got this one, and then this, look at this with the canned stuff. So we have something purple. I don't know, is that supposed to be grape jelly maybe? We've got green beans and peas and something yellow. So I like these. These are all my little ones. There will be larger ones available as well. This one says can until you can't, and of course I can. So I really like this one. I love the colors in this. And I have another one, similar colors. Look, there's ball jars on it. This one will likely only be larger bags. There'll only be a few of these because the print of this, the scale is really large. So this will only be some larger bags. And then there's a couple more that are not home canning, but they are knitting related. Similar color though. It's Kitchener instructions. So if you're closing up a toe of a sock or something else that you want to close neatly, we have Kitchener instructions. So it tells you step 1, front needle purl, step 2, back needle knit, and then it's knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on. So if you've never done a Kitchener stitch, this might not be all that helpful, but if you just need a quick reminder, you're going to have it right on your bag. This is the other one, which I think is pretty fabulous. It's turning the heel on a sock. So how many ever stitches you have, like if it's half the number of stitches, so let's say like I usually do 64 stitch sock, you follow that. I would be working 32 stitches across, and you would slip one, and it gives you the instructions in more detail down here. but you would slip a stitch, then knit 18, turn, slip 1, purl Y number of stitches, which for mine would be 7, and then Z, you're going to turn again, slip 1, knit to 1 stitch before the gap. So it gives you, Z is how many you have left. Sorry. Z is that once you finish turning the heel, that's how many stitches you will have left. So I thought that was pretty cool, because I sometimes, if I'm doing something other than my 32 stitch heel, I have a general idea in my mind, but I'm often looking it up to make sure I'm doing it right. This right here, where how many you go back across, I usually do 5, I think, but this one suggests 7. That's kind of personal preference, but this definitely gives you a guideline whether it's 7 or 5. So anyway, I'm excited about this one with the sock heel directions on it. And I've got some coordinating fabrics that I think I'm going to be putting with that in a couple of the bags. So all of that is going to be available in my booth at SAFF. I'm also going to have coordinating yarn colors. Those are not ready yet, but those should all be in the booth. SAFF is the weekend of the 21st of October. I think that's right. And I would be so excited to see you if you're going to be there. If you are not going to be there, my plan, fingers crossed, you guys, I'm going to have this listed on the BedeSisters.com website just before SAFF, possibly just the day of the 20th, which would be the Thursday before the vendor market opens. I'm going to try to have all of this stuff listed there, because with the website and the way I've got it set up right now, I'm hoping it goes as smoothly as I think it will. I can keep the website active while I am selling at SAFF, and the inventory is all blended. So I won't risk selling something at SAFF while somebody else is ordering it online. That shouldn't happen, because it will be, it'll all be in the same inventory system. So anyway, again, if you're going to be at SAFF, please stop by and say hello. Even if you're not buying anything, just come by and say hi. And if you can, if you are able to do this, and not just for me, anybody who's working a booth alone, if you don't mind offering to watch the booth for a few minutes so they can take a bathroom break, I can't tell you how delighted vendors are to have a nice person say, can I watch your booth for a few minutes if you need to run to the bathroom? They probably wouldn't do it if you're a total stranger, but if you're watching, know that I have said, please hang out in the booth for a few minutes while I go to the bathroom. All right, y'all. My computer just blinked off, which may cause my other light to go out. If it does, that's what it is. It worked out okay last time, so hopefully that'll be all right. Okay, now that I'm done with my self-promotion, let's talk about what I finished. I was working on the Lavender Fields socks last time, and they are done. Look, and blocked. I'm really pleased with how well they blocked. I was a little worried about it, but it's fantastic. Look how this picot edge is standing up so beautifully. It was curling down before I blocked them, and may still do that with wear, which is fine, but I'm very happy with how nicely that blocked. What I did was, when I washed them, I soaked them and then got most of the water out. I put them on sock blockers, but then laid those sock blockers on a blocking board. I think I have a picture. I'll try to remember to put in a picture here. But then I pinned out the points while it was on the sock blocker, but laying down. I pinned out those points. And it was a hot, sunny day, so they actually dried nicely in just a few hours. So the modifications I made to the pattern made these shorter. They were per pattern to here, I think. I think that's right. So I did the picot cast on. I'm pretty sure this is the correct number based on the pattern. I may have reduced it a little bit, but I think that's the same. And then the pattern repeat, it was actually supposed to be 4 pattern repeats per pattern. I did 3. And then this was supposed to be twice this long, this section between the lace and the heel, and I cut that in half. So I have a relatively short sock. And then I did just my regular heel. I didn't follow the pattern for the heel. I used the one that I normally do. And then it's just a vanilla sock from there. The yarn is some that I think I got in a door prize, maybe. It was a Cascade Heritage, maybe. I don't even think it has a color name. I think it's just a number. It's very similar to my End of the Trail colorway. I have something made in my End of the Trail. Ooh, sorry. Didn't mean to jiggle ya. This is my End of the Trail, which is a little bit more tonal, but you can tell pretty close. This is a little more yellow, and this is a little bit cooler color, but really close. So happy to have those done because those are going in the fair. The pattern is Lavender Fields by Helen Stewart. I'm absolutely on a Helen Stewart tear right now. My state fair patterns, all the ones that I've used a pattern for are by Helen Stewart. Because, I mean, you find somebody you like, you do that, right? Okay, so the other thing that I don't think I had started last time, I just had plans. The Meet Cute Mitts. This is from last year's Knit Vent. And it was based on the Hallmark style Christmas movies. So, you know, the couple, they are both reaching for the same orange in the grocery store. So these mitts have this little cabled pattern down the back. The only difference is you put the thumb on the opposite side so that you have the cable on the back of your hand, not on your palm. It starts here at the cuff. You do a 2x2 rib and then go straight into the cable pattern. And you're doing, for a little while, you're doing cable pattern and thumb gusset simultaneously. Then you put these stitches on hold while you finish this, and you get up to, I think it's pretty much just the ribbing that you actually have to finish. But yeah, really quick, it's in DK weight yarn. This yarn is from Barocco, it's Fiore. I don't even know if they still make it anymore. I had actually bought a sweater quantity. I started a sweater on it and was just miserable knitting it. I don't remember what the pattern was. So I ripped it out and just had this in stash. So as I was looking for something to use for this pattern, I pulled this yarn back out. And as I said, it's a DK weight. And I think it just worked beautifully with this. The solid color shows off the cables nicely. And again, I blocked these, I pinned these out on a blocking board. The only pins I actually used were on either side of the cable to pull that out just a little bit. Per pattern, although you might want to do this anyway when you're doing cables, cables tend to pull in a little bit. So I used a smaller needle for the ribbing, but a larger needle for the cable part. And it fits really nicely. They're really stretchy. My husband does not have large hands, but they're larger than mine. And it did stretch it out a little more, but it looked great on him too. So there you go. The Meet Cute Mitts from Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. That is it for finished stuff. I have started another pattern, but it's a fairly long-term project and it will be a gift, so I can't talk about it because the person for whom this gift is intended may well be watching, so I can't talk about it right now, but eventually I will share because I'm really excited about it. Okay, there is another project that I have yet to start that I'm hoping to cast on fairly soon, but I have to decide which of two projects I want to start. One is fairly large, one is going to be fairly small. But they're all part of the same knit-along. Selma of Little Big Knits. I've just started watching her. I don't know why I haven't been watching her before, but she is in Canada, I think. She is one of, I don't think she's the only one of the sponsors of the Unspun Heroes Cal knit-along. And the idea is to do a project. It can be a project already in progress, if I remember correctly, but from an primarily unspun yarn. And this would be like Lopi yarn, where it's just got the slightest little bit of twist in it. I happen to have yarn from Iceland from our trip this past June. And I bought a sweater quantity. I have a sweater quantity specifically for a pattern. The pattern that I want to do is actually a men's sweater, but they had a sample of it in the Icelandic wool. I'll tell you in a second. I'll show you the pattern too. The Hand Knitting Association of Iceland. And I went in their store and I was really drawn to this one particular pattern. And I'm going to show it to you as soon as I can find it. This one. I think it's, like I said, it's written for a man, but I think if I do just a little bit of waist shaping, I think it'll be fine. I actually don't have a problem with it just being kind of an oversized boyfriend kind of sweater. But I love, love, love this color work. They had it in, I think it had more green. This is sort of green right here, but I think the one they had in the store actually had more green here. I've got primarily blue and gray for mine. And this fits the parameters of the knit along. Let's see. Yeah. So what do you think? This deep, almost black navy blue, and then this denim-y blue, and then a gray. And I think that's it. Yeah. Oh no, there's also a true black. And you can, if I put them all together, you can see the difference. So those are my colors, blues and blacks, kind of blue jean stuff for this Ridari. This is in Lopi 28. I bought this at the same store, Icelandic Textiles. So that's one option for this Unspun Heroes knit along. The other, I don't think I put it in here, but the other is also some Icelandic yarn, some of which I got in Iceland, some of which I got from my friend Claire in Nebraska who raises Icelandic sheep. So there's a skein of yarn that I bought. It's actually from her daughter, but it's from her, from their sheep. So I could combine that plus what I got in Iceland, and they're just like little sample skeins that are natural dye. I don't remember what they are, but they were natural dyes that I bought. I bought the yarn at Erikstadr, I think is the name of it. It's the home of Erik the Red, so Leif Erikson's father. And they had some just little sample skeins of yarn that they had naturally dyed, possibly spun. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, it's just like a little mini skein, but it's roughly the same weight as the Icelandic wool yarn that I have from Nebraska. I could combine those two little skeins, they're shades of green. I could combine those with the white yarn full skein that I have and do maybe a hat or some mitts. So that would actually also fit the parameters of the knit along. And at the moment, I have not decided which I'm going to do. I really want to start this sweater. However, I have two that have been on the needles for going on a year. So I probably should work on those. But hey, I'm the boss of my knitting, right? I can cast on something else if I want to. Don't tell me what to do. Well, you could. You could tell me. I might ignore you though. All right. So those are my projects currently. I have some sewing that I need to do, obviously stuff for SAFF, but I also have another project to sew for the fair, which will be a pillow. I have submitted for the competition a pillow, and I've done this before. What I normally do is a quilt square that I then use as a pillow cover, and I really enjoy those. It's great for storing because I do an envelope closure, you know, where you have like one half on the back and the other half overlaps it. So you can, all I have to do is store the pillow cover and then change those out seasonally. So usually for the fair, I'll do either something with a fall theme or a Christmas theme. And then I can use it as soon as I get it home from the fair, and then it gets packed away, and I'm not storing a whole pillow, I'm just storing the cover. Plus it makes it easy to wash. It's almost 11:30, y'all. And I've been talking for 20 minutes. How is this going to be a short episode? I was thinking in my head, oh, it's going to be short. I don't have that much to say. Let's talk a little bit more about knitting stuff. And then I'll talk about some other stuff that I've purchased or started doing in the last week, and tell me what you think. Okay, I think I showed this to you when I talked about my Iceland trip. I got this little book, I think, does it say? No. Oh, yes, it does. At the Reykjavik City Museum. Over there. And I love this picture of this little boy with the sheep. It says boy with sheep, and it was taken roughly 1925 to 1935. And it's just a notebook. It's just blank. So I think what I'm going to do, I've been thinking about this for a while. I would like to keep a journal of my knitting projects. I would actually like to have a hard copy of that. And I thought, oh, I should start that with the new year. And I thought, doggone it, I'm just going to start now. So I pulled this out just in the last couple of days, and I'm just going to start writing down my projects, what I've made, roughly when I made it, or at least when I finished it, and the yarn that I used. And I think I'm just going to make this my little knitting journal. Do you keep a knitting journal? I know a lot of people keep track of stuff on Ravelry. I've used it a lot less since they made some of the changes. It doesn't bother me to look at it on my phone. I haven't actually tried it on my computer screen in a while, but when they first changed it, I noticed that it gave me a headache. I'm not prone to seizures, so it didn't cause any problems like that. And I don't get migraines, but I actually did get a headache early on. And so I don't know if it was related to that, but I have not been using it as much since then. As I said, I can look it up on my phone and it's fine. But anyway, I haven't used it as much for record keeping as I had previously. But I do like the idea of keeping track of what I'm making and being able to look back and say, when did I finish that and what yarn did I use and that kind of thing. So I think I'm going to do that in kind of an old-fashioned journal keeping way. Something else that I bought for myself, because I'm clumsy. This, you can't really tell what it is looking like this, but isn't the fabric cute? This is an ironing board cover. I have not bought an ironing board cover in ages. I bought one years ago from an Etsy seller. I don't even know if they're still in business. I didn't try to figure it out. But I loved it. But you know how it is. That kind of stuff eventually wears out. I don't like to iron clothes, but I actually iron quite a bit when I'm sewing. My husband actually pays our daughter to iron his dress shirts. And she's like, whatever, a couple of dollars a shirt. She can get, $10 or $15 in a week to do that. So between the two of us using it, it eventually wears out. I wash them, but they like for her to use spray starch, and she likes using the spray starch on shirts. So that affects it. You can wash it, but But the other thing is me. I'd say clumsy. Clumsy is not quite the word. Distracted might be better. When I do most of my bags, when I do my bag sewing, I was going to pull one out and show you. What did I do with them? There they are. What I normally do, depending on the fabric, some of the heavier fabrics I don't use very much, but I don't put interfacing on them. But when it's just a normal kind of quilter cotton weight, I like for the bags to sit up a little bit on their own. So I don't put interfacing on the inner lining fabric, but I do use an iron-on interfacing for the outer fabric. It has a glue side and a plain side. What you want is glue side up with the back of your quilting fabric on that so that they adhere. Perfectly logical, right? Who could mess it up? I can. I'm normally pretty careful. It's not difficult to tell, but you do have to pay attention. The side with the adhesive it's not sticky until you apply heat to it, but it is a little bit shiny. So if you look, you can tell which side is which. I was watching something on YouTube. I think it was a knitting podcast, but it may have been Stephanie Harlow, who does true crime on YouTube. I got distracted. I had the sticky side down. So it began to adhere because I ironed it. Oh, I'm getting this done. No problem. I got to pick it up. And it's adhered to my ironing board cover. I can get some of it off and I can wash it and it's better. But I've done this so many times over the years, it was time for a new one. So I'm actually really pleased with this. It's got a little casing, but what's run through it is elastic. And it's got a little clippy thing here. There's a name for it, I can't remember what it is. But I can adjust this a little bit so that it fits snugly on my ironing board. And I really like that. It's super simple, but exactly what you need because it's stretchy. It's easy to put on. It's not like a string kind of thing that's run through. I like that it's stretchy, so easy to put on and easily adjustable. It says handmade by Sunshine and Jen. But actually the shop name is Lena and, I was about to say Lily. No, Lena and Lila. That is the shop name that I went to. And shipping was super fast. They only had a couple of ironing board covers, but it was supposed to ship by today. It actually shipped on the 16th. They actually had the shipping label done on the day I ordered it. So I ordered it on the 16th. It was mailed right away. So I've actually had this for a day or two. I was trying to think, did it come yesterday? It may have come yesterday on the 19th. That's super fast. And it came from, it's in the US, but I don't see the date on it, but to South Carolina. So anyway, if you need an ironing board cover, they were fantastic. I finished the Ruth Ware, The It Girl. You remember I said it's IT in capitals, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be IT or it. It was The It Girl. And so it's a murder mystery, and it goes back and forth. Normally, I'm not a big fan of switching perspectives, but it worked pretty well in this one because it was all told from the perspective of the same character. So one was her life before the murder of her friend, and then the other perspective was her life after the murder of her friend, and how she has some doubts about the person who is convicted for this murder. And anyway, it was pretty good. I thought the first part was a little slow. It felt like a lot more than needed to set up the plot, but the last probably third of it I thought moved along nicely and really kept me guessing for a while. So anyway, that was kind of fun. The It Girl by Ruth Ware. I have just started this one. I haven't read a John Grisham novel in ages. I read them like back when The Firm was out, so way back when. So anyway, this one's called The Judge's List, and I just started. You can see where my bookmark is. I've just gotten started. Let me read you a little bit here. In The Whistler, Lacey Stoltz investigated a corrupt judge who was taking millions in bribes from a crime syndicate. She put the criminals away, but only after being attacked and nearly killed. 3 years later, and approaching 40, she's tired of her work for the Florida Board on Judicial Conduct and ready for a change. Then she meets a mysterious woman who is so frightened she uses a number of aliases. Jerry Crosby's father was murdered 20 years earlier in a case that remains unsolved and that has grown stone cold. But Jerry has a suspect whom she has become obsessed with and has stalked for 2 decades. Along the way, she has discovered other victims. Suspicions are easy enough, but obtaining proof seems impossible. The man is brilliant, patient, and always one step ahead of law enforcement. He is the most cunning of all serial killers. He knows forensics, police procedure, and most important, he knows the law. He's a judge in Florida under Lacey's jurisdiction. He has a list with the names of his victims and targets, all unsuspecting people unlucky enough to have crossed his path and wronged him in some way. How can Lacey pursue him without becoming the next name on his list? So is The Whistler another John Grisham novel? Let's see if I can find out. Yes. So that was a previous John Grisham novel, which I have not read. But so far, I don't think it's confusing. It's pretty easy to follow what's going on here. So I'll let you know what I think. John Grisham, The Judge's List. I think this came out about a year ago. So what are you reading? Reading? Watching? Anything interesting? I like hearing about it. I feel kind of bad when I go to the library with my daughter that they see me looking. What I'm usually doing is look at a magazine in the place. I look at a lot of nonfiction as well as stuff on my phone. I've actually started downloading magazines, the Libby app on my phone. I can get magazines from the library on my phone, It's really small, obviously, but it does let me flip through pretty quickly and decide if I want to look at the actual magazine, if I want to track that down and see if it's available. So anyway, I'm enjoying the Libby app, but I feel bad because I never check out actual books. And I thought, they must think I never read. I do. I just tend to buy books and read them because I'm not a fast reader. And most of the time when I'm reading a novel or something for pleasure, I'm reading that before I go to bed. I did not read 2 pages in this last night before I was out. So checking books out of the library is not always the best option for me. How about you? Do you get books from the library? Do you borrow them? Do you purchase them? What's your plan? Do you read them on a device? I don't usually like that. I don't mind if it's something quick. Like I said, with the magazine, I can flip through and kind of see if I want a paper copy, if I want to find it at the library. But for just reading a novel, I'm not usually a fan of e-readers. So anyway, I do read. I'm just slow. Okay, everybody, I think I'm done for today, and I managed in 30 minutes. Awesome. I will not take up any more of your time, but I would just invite you to like and subscribe. Your thumbs up, your comments are all helpful for the channel. It gives me a little bit of a boost and is more likely for YouTube to recommend me. I had a while back, a few months ago, YouTube was apparently recommending me because my videos were getting like 1,000 views and more. And now I'm like down to 40 or 50. Although these are my real viewers, my real friends here who are sticking with me even when YouTube doesn't recommend me. So thank you. But anyway, your comments, your interaction is really helpful. It doesn't have to be anything long, although I love when you leave a long comment and tell me, so somebody did this past time and apologize. Don't apologize for your long comments. I read every single word, and it may take me a while. If it's longer, it may take me a little while to get back with a response, only because I want to think about it a little bit, make sure I'm answering any questions that you ask, or just responding to what you're talking about. So give me a chance. I want to do my best to respond to those. Anyway, all of that helps the algorithm and is much appreciated. I'm so glad you're here. I'm hoping that you can come to SAFF, but if not, check out BedeSisters.com, and the bags and things that are available at SAFF should be available online. All right, take care, everybody, and we'll chat again soon.